Hey y'all. So Blizzard unexpectedly at Gamescom in their opening show announced Season 2, Season of Blood, coming to Diablo 4. This is coming on October 17th. And we got some few details here, playing just some footage of the announcement trailer. There's a whole thing. Go check it out if you want. Want to watch a little cinematic intro thing. But they do have a blog post which has a bit more specific details in writing about what is going to be coming in Season of Blood. There's a few pretty good changes and some cool stuff upcoming that they're talking about early. So we can see that there's going to be 5 new endgame bosses, some new and returning enemies. This was kind of alluded to in the last campfire chat by the devs, and they were asked about if we could fight the campaign bosses again, and I would not be surprised if some of these bosses are some of the ones we fought in the campaign as like new Uber versions. I'm not sure if they're going to have like level 100 Uber variants or if they're going to be like some maybe ones like level 80 or that's pretty hard at level 80, but you can kind of do it sort of easily at level 100 or something like that. I have no idea. That's a total guess. I'm not sure if they're all going to be all level 100 or not. But they are adding better target farming of uniques and Uber uniques, which is super cool. Because Uber uniques have such a astronomically low drop rate that only like a handful of people in an entire season are ever going to get one. So it's cool that we're going to have some ways to do that. And they actually specify this a bit later, somewhere around here. But they will have ways to target farm the uniques in both eternal and seasonal realms. So that is also good to see. One of the other things is renown rewards are going to be account-wide permanently now. The rewards will carry over when completed on any prior character beyond Altars of Lilith and map discovery. So it includes potion charges, skill points, obol, cap upgrades, and the Paragon points are now going to be account-wide. You only have to do renown once forever, and that's it. So you can go into a brand new season with all that stuff done. You can just go do whatever you want at the season launch. You don't have to worry about doing side quests and dungeon, like doing every single individual dungeon to get renown from all of them. You don't have to do that anymore. So good to see. Some mentions about changes to vulnerable, overpower, crit damage, and elemental resistances. Gems will no longer take inventory space. This was talked about a while back. It's going to be going into your material as a currency, basically, instead of having an individual item in your inventory. So you can kind of pick these up at your leisure whenever you want, so that they you don't have to worry about them filling up your inventory anymore. So cool. And they are, thank God, they are adding a stash filter and search. We really needed that a long time ago. But better late than never, I guess. So yeah, not too much else. It's vampire themed. It's blood themed. You know, there is a little bit of gameplay I did want to bring up at the very end of the trailer here. It looks like we've got some enemies here that are just like regular ghouls, but they kind of have this black and red glow to them. They look a little bit different, but they're just kind of regular enemies. Just kind of some footage of just each class killing some enemies, you know, normal gameplay trailer things, honestly. Nothing here really looks new. The only thing I did want to mention is this rogue gameplay right here, where it seems like they're killing some of these like skeletons and they get little like blood orbs pulling into them when they killed them. And it looks like it kind of modified their dash to be like red when they dash forward. It kind of mentions it at the end here. New questline, vampiric powers. I don't know what the vampiric powers are. They kind of very briefly show them off sort of hiddenly. I have no idea how this works. They haven't mentioned that at all. I don't know if they're tied to like a similar malignant heart system where they go into your jewelry. Hopefully they're not reusing the exact same system. That would be kind of boring. But if there are ways to actually like beef up certain skills or something, I think that would be awesome. If there's ways to like buff certain core skills, I don't know if they're like really specific powers or if they're like, I don't know. I have no idea how these all work, but based on some of the gameplay that was shown here, it does seem like there's some ways to improve your attacks somewhat. So don't really know exactly how this works. Again, this is just a teaser for the new season, which is some high level information shown to us today. But otherwise, yeah, that's about it for information dump. A couple brief thoughts, I guess, here at the end. Not really much to say besides it's good that these things are happening. I don't want to give too much of like a yes or no, like is this good or bad season. I have no idea. We really need to see how the seasonal kind of mechanic works. Season one's Malignant Hearts were pretty shallow, I guess. Yeah, hopefully this has got a bit more nuance to it. I'm not super hopeful for that, but I'd like to be hopeful, but we'll see. Renown being carried over permanently is good. I'm really excited for more bosses. I do hope that they are maybe a little bit more approachable compared to Uber Lilith. I don't really have any problems with Uber Lilith, but she feels a little cheap with the one-shot waves, and it seems like the meta for killing Uber Lilith is to just be playing a strong enough build that you don't have to worry about any of her attacks because you kill her that fast. Which feels like a bit of a flaw somewhere, either in the boss design or the character power, in that these bosses, you can just kind of outscale all of their mechanics by just dealing an absurd amount of damage on a few specific builds. So, I'm not opposed to having challenging fights. That's not really what I'm saying, but I think having just an attack with a very hard to tell patterns just instantly one-shotting you is definitely pretty demoralizing for a lot of players. So I would like, I think it would be good if maybe there's like some scaling to the bosses in terms of like there's maybe a boss that's like a little bit easier in comparison to the other ones, but if you want to get like certain uniques or certain uber uniques, you got to do the harder bosses or something like that. I think that's totally fine. So, God, I wish I could find it. It's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is. The update to the above bullet and the ability to target specific unique and ultra uniques will be available in both seasonal and eternal realms. So that's good. I'm glad to see that they aren't completely avoiding eternal realm improvements. But obviously they want people playing season, so most of the new stuff is going to be in your season. But at least if you want to play a new eternal character, once this update rolls around in October, you will have permanent renown. Love to see that. I'm honestly really interested in the status effect updates. I'm very curious to see how they're going to rework elemental resistances because there's a couple of pretty big problems with resistances. I don't know if I want to go into a full deep dive in that in a video like this, but it's they got some big problems to try and solve with resistances. So I'm very curious to see what they've come up with that. But for vulnerable and crit damage as well, I don't know how they're going to maybe change how these scale, because these are their own separate multipliers when you're dealing damage. So that's why vulnerable and crit damage are so strong in Diablo 4 right now, since they are just straight up multipliers on top of everything else. And because they're their own separate multiplier, that's why getting more vulnerable and more crit is a very large damage boost. Whereas overpower doesn't really scale very well. Even though you can get a very large amount of additional overpowered damage through gear, it doesn't really compare very well when if you're instead running something that does a lot of vulnerable and crit damage. So hopefully they can make some nice improvements to overpower to make it a lot more viable or a lot more enticing of a mechanic to build your character around. So a lot of really big questions, a lot of concern on my end. I'm not saying they can't pull off a bit of a rebalance to the way damage works in Diablo 4, but these are some big systems in the game to try and possibly rework if or balance at all. So I'm sure we'll hear more about this. They're probably going to do another campfire chat, probably a lot closer, maybe like early October if I had to guess. That's more in line with, or it's going to have more information about the new season. I guess final note, they have been getting a little memed on for the timing of the season announcement. We're only like a month into season 1. We're barely 2 months away from just like under 2 months for the new season, and we're already talking about season 2 when we're only like a third of the way through season 1. And I mean, I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but season 1 definitely flopped for a lot of players. I had my fun playing the game still, but I've definitely been taking a bit of a break playing other stuff, including Path of Exile, of course, had their new league launch last week. But I am still keeping my tabs on Diablo 4, and I'm still occasionally playing it. Just I'm kind of taking a little bit of a backseat. But once season 2 starts rolling around, I will definitely be playing a bit more. I'm always like to be more optimistic about changes. There's definitely some cool stuff here. I'm really glad stashes are now going to be searchable and filterable. That's definitely huge. Renown being once a one and done grind, you don't have to do this ever again, is good. Yeah, my only hope is that the end game bosses are fun and rewarding, and that the new vampiric powers are not as cut and dry as the Malignant Hearts, because that system was pretty basic. So I do hope there's a little bit of nuance here with the vampiric powers. We'll see. We'll see. A lot of we'll sees, but I would like to be optimistic until we have more information. So anyway, that's gonna be it for me. Pretty quick and dirty overview of the new stuff for an unexpected announcement today. So with all that said, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.